Hello and welcome to a new episode of Silly Point. Today we're going to talk about the IPL auction, some very surprising picks and misses. We'll discuss each of the teams and their picks and see how they stack up. Just for the auction, we'll discuss near the IPL the full dynamics. As always, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. So we've got G here, who will give a brief intro on how the auction actually works.
Yeah, I mean, not so much how the auction works, but just the fact that you had some players getting, significantly being picked for significantly high prices, and people might be wondering, oh, how does Chris Morris go for 16 crores? How does someone like Krishnappa Gautam, who would not be known among outside India, how does he go for like 9 crores? And I think the fact is that um, this was a mini auction. You didn't have all the players in, right? The fact is that Chris Morris, for example, was almost a one of a kind, right? He's a good bowler, he's a good batsman, he can bowl in the depth, he can open the bowling. He has got a high strike rate, he can bat 6 7 8 in any team, and he's got lots of IPL experience, and that's what made him so that's what made him so expensive. Every single team in the IPL wanted to buy Chris Morris. So I think that just the fact that it was a mini auction made these players very, very valuable. Next year the IPL is going to have a mega auction where most of the players will go into the auction, and no one's going to buy Chris Morris at that higher price. No one's going to buy Maxwell or Krishnappa Gautam or Moeen Ali at those prices. So it's just about supply and demand, unfortunately. The other thing is, Chris Morris is not going to get 16 crores to play for Rajasthan Royals for this 1 year. So there are a couple of factors that determine how much he gets paid, and it's things like, I think these contracts are for 3 years, so he'll get prorated for 1 year, and it also depends on how many matches he plays. There might be some performance-related bonuses and stuff like that. So, Chris Morris is not going to be getting 16 crores for 1 year. There are certain terms and conditions to his contract, and it will just play out in that way. So that's just a little bit about the auctions. The other thing is, which I'm sure Zahid also saw, is how seriously the franchisees take these auctions. Every franchisee does a mock auction. And recently, I think Mike Hesson from RCB released a video, where they kind of explained why they bid for Steve Smith in the first place. They didn't actually want Steve Smith.
Yeah, just to pump up the price.
Exactly, and just to get other franchisees involved in a bidding war, they kind of put their paddle up at his base price. So really interesting dynamics there. I'm sure most of the franchisees would certainly play out mock auctions, but this is something completely new. I've not heard any kind of teams of franchisees do something like that, where they're trying to start bidding wars and get.
I'm sure they do it. I'm sure they all do it, but they just don't publicly say it. This time, this one came out publicly. Because that's part of the strategy. Because you want to player X, so they'll try and make the other team pay as high as they can for player Y, so that they don't have the budget to get player X. Then, right? So that's what they did, and that's how they ended up getting, Maxwell and Kyle Jameson.
And Dan Christian. So you could say that RCB's pick for their auction strategy.
I mean, for the auction strategy was, from their point of view, was fine. From my point of view, I don't know. I mean, it was questionable. But we'll get into that actually.
Cool.
And let's do this.
Should we actually then move on to how each of the teams fared? Do you want to start with RCB, given that they kind of purchased two of the most expensive players at the auction?
I mean, they got
2 out of 3.
2 of 3. I mean, Kyle Jameson, I understand because I understand why he's picked, but I don't get the price because he's a very good bowler, but he's really proven himself at the test stage. He's going to be his first IPL, I think, right?
First IPL,
I mean, going for that much money in your first auction with no IPL experience.
Yeah.
And particularly bowlers like these who are kind of, Rabada and Nokia did pretty well. Last year, they're kind of hit the deck bowlers. But it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But I mean, RCB do need a proper fast bowler. They've been missing one for a while, so you can understand why they went for it. The one that I really didn't understand was Glenn Maxwell. I mean, he's not the player that he was. If they were going to play 14 crores, then they might as well have gone for Chris Morris, right? Who's probably a
Yeah,
better option.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, first of all, RCB released Chris Morris last year,
Yeah,
right? So that in itself was a horrible decision, in my opinion.
yeah,
One of the
I agree.
worst, again, one of the worst releases I've seen. Um, and then, yeah, I guess buying Kyle Jameson, I'm not sure about him. Obviously, he's untested, so we'll have to see
Yeah,
how he goes. I think the more kind of interesting thing for RCB was having a middle order of Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers, and Glenn Maxwell. I think
yeah,
they've struggled in that middle order, so they wanted someone like Maxwell, and again they went all out for him. Um,
yeah,
eh, let's see how he performs. That's all I can
yeah,
say, right?
yeah,
I think some of the most shrewd buys was um, Dan Christian. I'm a big fan
yeah,
of Dan Christian. Even though he's old, he's got that experience of winning
yeah,
titles behind him, and he's
yeah.
an all-rounder. So he can bowl 4 overs
He's
and he
doing
can
decent
bat
in the
6, 7.
PSL also, so
Yeah, yeah,
he'll have some good game time behind him also.
exactly. Yeah. So I agree with Dan Christian being an amazing buy,
Yeah,
and then the other good one is a young batsman by the name of Mohammad Azrudin,
yeah,
who's a wicketkeeper batsman. And in the recently concluded domestic T20 tournament in India,
yeah,
he actually scored 100 of 37 balls. So
yeah,
he looks like a very good, shrewd, hard hitting option. So he
yeah.
can hopefully open the batting and keep wickets as well.
Yeah, I think they've lacked because AB had to keep, right, so they wanted
Yeah.
a domestic keeper, which will help them.
It, I think it's fair
Yeah,
to say that RCB, even though they had a horrible auction, in my
yeah,
opinion, their team still looks pretty balanced.
yeah.
Whether they
I
do
agree.
well or not, we don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. The next one, let's go with the other big pick, Rajasthan Royals.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at their team, and okay, they only got one big buy, right? They had Chris Morris,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because they had so many players retired. I think the budget was lower, right? Because they've
Yeah.
got a lot of star players on their roster anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, okay, they got Fizz as well, who's probably not going to start anyway. He's a
Yeah.
decent backup
Yeah.
option,
Yeah.
but I just don't get why they got. Okay, Morris is a fantastic player, but you already have Ben Stokes,
Yeah.
you have Jofra Archer, you have
Yeah.
Joss Butler.
Yeah. So I think I
I
think
don't
they
get
I
it.
think
Yeah,
Rajasthan's problem is that they've got um, very weak Indian players
yeah,
when it comes to the batting and when it comes to the bowling. That's my opinion, right? So
yeah,
their team is built around having very, very strong overseas players. Like if you
yeah,
look at their top four overseas players, you've got Butler, Stokes, Archer, and Morris, and you'd probably say that they're the best four
yeah.
overseas players you could have in the IPL, right?
Yeah. And then
So
you have
so
decent
from
backup options, right? In Tom Curran and Fizz and
yeah, decent
Utai.
backup options as well. You've got Miller, you've got Liam
Yeah,
Livingstone, and you've got Fizz and Tom Curran. So
yeah,
so their backup options are also very good. But I think it's the other players
yeah,
that that are not as strong. A lot of them are like domestic Indian players
yeah,
with limited international experience, right?
yeah,
So I think that's where Rajasthan lack.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't see them having a significantly better season than last year. Maybe they don't come last, but
yeah,
but not much better. I mean, you have to have a strong team,
yeah,
right? And I think this is where they faltered in the auction. They didn't pick like one or two good Indian pacers with international experience and one
yeah.
or two good Indian batsmen with international experience.
I agree. I agree with
The,
that.
the good news is that Andrew McDonald has stepped down as the coach.
Yeah,
So hopefully we don't see the revolving door of openers
yeah,
between Butler and Stokes, and they just stick with one,
yeah,
and hopefully they go with Butler opening
yeah,
with Stokes in the middle order, and they kind of don't change that too much. They don't change the opening dynamic as much.
yeah, yeah.
So,
It's
that's why they might do better. Their
yeah,
auction was okay, average, you could say.
yeah. And then the other team, let's move on to which again kind of overpaid for a couple of players in my opinion was Punjab.
Yeah,
Jai Richardson, 14. I mean,
yeah,
again, he's another one who's not played the IPL before, has he? Or
yeah.
he's played, but he's been on the bench. Yeah. I mean,
I, I
he's
I
a
don't
very
know.
good prospect. He's played very
Yeah,
well for Australia, but he's been injured.
yeah, true.
So you have to question his fitness to last the whole season.
Yeah,
And again, he's unproven again. So 14 crore for someone
yeah.
who's unproven. And also the other pick, Riley Meredith. I mean,
Riley. Yeah,
who's also a fast bowler,
yeah,
right?
he is. Yeah,
So I mean, again, all these uncapped fast bowlers going for pretty high amounts.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Well, I mean, Jai Richardson
Surprising.
and Riley Meredith are not uncapped, but
Yeah.
they've got like, you know, probably less than 10 international matches under their belts.
And then
Um,
the biggest shock was David Malan went for his base price,
yeah.
who's the number one player. So it just doesn't make sense.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I just think that the whole IPL now, right,
Yeah,
is geared towards having very strong bowlers.
yeah.
Bowlers win games.
Fast bowlers
That's
is
fast bowlers win games. Bowlers in general win games, and yeah, even though India have got a very strong bowling attack and a good strong bench. I still feel that being a fast bowler, being an international fast bowler is very very
yeah.
helpful in the IPL.
I agree.
Yeah, and just coming to David Malan, I think David Malan, Fabian Allen, and Moses
Yeah,
Henriques are three of the shrewdest buys in this
yeah.
auction, and
True.
Punjab have them. So you could say yes, Punjab overpaid for Richardson and Meredith, but then they also have countered it with these pretty smart buys, in
True.
my opinion.
True. And they have a very good balance now. I think because they have
Yeah,
Shami and
yeah,
Richardson with the ball.
yeah,
Obviously, everyone knows about their top order with
yeah.
Gale and Milan in the middle. Of, well, Gale at three potentially, and Milan at four, or how they work with that. But
Well,
it's a
Puran,
very
right? Puran,
and
Puran
Puran as
is
well.
a better pick. So you've got Gale, Puran, Jai Richardson, and maybe a Fabian Allen or Hendricks, depending on the conditions.
David
So
Milan,
that's a
the number one T20 batsman. Come on.
Well, I think they've primarily purchased him as a backup to Gale.
Yeah,
That's my
for
opinion.
sure. I mean, yeah,
He can easily fit in at number three.
yeah,
If Gale is injured or.
yeah,
So I think shrewd business there in the auctions.
yeah,
Punjab, like we've said last year, they were a pretty good team. They just
yeah,
had some bad luck, and I
yeah,
think they've improved their squad since last year.
yeah.
And I think they're in a much better position this year
I
around.
agree. I agree. Moving on, I guess, to the other big pick, Krishnava Gautam from CSK. I think
That was a
after
really
this,
nice.
the rest of them are relatively more underwhelming.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Well, not underwhelming, but the remaining teams
yeah,
were kind of the stronger teams. They
yeah,
were in the top. They were in the top of
yeah,
the IPL last year, and they had strong teams and strong coach, so they had less to do at the auctions.
yeah, yeah. I mean, CSK obviously they went with Gautam and Moeen Ali also another interesting pick,
Yeah,
and Pujara.
yeah, yeah.
Surprising,
I
but
mean, again, CSK, their auction strategy is always weird.
yeah,
I've never got it. I mean, yes, they pulled it off for the last 10 years. You could say
yeah,
that from last 12 years, from 2008 to kind of 2019, that kind of period, their
yeah,
auction strategy worked, where they went in with experienced players, players with lots of international experience. But as much as I love Chiteshwar Pujara, and even when he got picked, you know, every single franchisee that was at the auction, they clapped
yeah.
because they were so happy to see Pujara get picked,
Yeah.
and that's amazing in itself. But yeah, don't
I don't
know,
think he'll get to
don't
play.
know, don't know whether he's going to get a chance to play.
Yeah,
Um, you know, the one good buy looks like Robin Uthappa.
yeah,
Robin Uthappa looks a good buy purely because now he's in very, very good form. So,
yeah,
there's a ODI domestic tournament happening in India now, and he's kind of scored like 300 in the last 5 games. So he's in absolutely good form. So that now looks like a good buy,
yeah,
because they do need someone, opening the batting on the top three, to score some runs. Um, yeah, I mean, Moeen Ali looks like a good purchase in my opinion.
yeah. Big fan of him, obviously.
Yeah, I'm a fan of him. Like, he can easily bat at 4-5 in the IPL at least.
Yeah,
Yes, in the IPL he can easily bat at 4-5 and give you like 2 overs.
yeah,
So I think reasonably good selection
yeah,
there. Krishnappa Gautam, I don't know what was happening there.
yeah,
They wanted a
yeah,
domestic off spinner, but
yeah,
you can't compare Gautam and Harbhajan Singh.
yeah,
Harbhajan Singh is, yards ahead in my opinion.
yeah.
And I think again another shrewd pick by KKR, but we'll come to that in a bit. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I just think that Chennai,
Underwhelming, but I
yeah,
mean, yeah. I think from now on, the rest we do discuss are more underwhelming slash backup players that
yeah, yeah,
picked.
yeah. But
Uh,
yeah, I mean, they've got, the batting looks weak again in my opinion
yeah,
for CSK. Obviously, Raina's back. so that
Yeah.
helps a little bit.
He's retired now, right?
Sorry, yeah, he's retired from international cricket, so he's back. So that helps a little bit. But yeah, I think overall average auction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to DC, the finalists.
Yeah. I mean, not much happening
Yeah,
there,
I mean,
right?
I think they've gone for more backup type picks. I mean, Steve
Yeah,
Smith, obviously.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I was surprised with Steve Smith. I didn't think Delhi needed a top order player,
yeah,
and that to me was the most surprising pick. Like,
yeah.
Delhi didn't need him, and
Yeah.
I don't
Tom
see.
Curran also. Actually, Tom Curran is now moved to Delhi, not
Yeah, Tom Curran
Rajasthan.
has moved to Delhi. Sorry, yeah, he's moved out from Rajasthan. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good point. I mean, yeah, Tom Curran is a fair pick, but again, not required. I mean, I feel
yeah,
like Delhi went for players that they didn't technically need. I mean, they had a pretty good team before, and now with Steve Smith, if they have to play Steve Smith, then they've got to drop like a Hitmaya or a Nokia or a Rabada. So
yeah.
good luck to them.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I think they've tried to strengthen their bench, right? I mean, Tom Curran's a decent backup
Yeah,
for
yeah.
if Stuanis is injured or something
Yeah.
happens to him. So,
Well, they've
they've
also
got
got Vokes. They've also got Vokes.
yeah,
So, Vokes is a more like for like, I would imagine. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess they wanted, they needed another wicket keeper, which they've got in Vishnu Vinod,
yeah,
who's a young, he's a young player from Tamil Nadu, and he's a
yeah,
good batsman as well. So again, if Pant gets injured, then you've got a domestic option, or your
mm,
international option is Sam Billings, who's certainly better than Alex Carey in
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah.
So yeah, again, Delhi, they were strong before, they're still strong. One or two surprising auction picks, but you could say that auction was very good because they didn't need many players.
True, true. I agree. And again, similar for KKR, I guess. I mean, I've got Shakib back in.
That in my opinion was a very good pick.
For the price, pound for
Yeah,
pound, one of the best picks. I think
yeah,
Malan and Shakib, yeah.
yeah. For 3.2 crores, that's an amazing pick, right? And
Yeah.
they can now kind of rotate between someone like Narayan and Shakib, because
Yeah.
both of them will give you 4 overs each, but Shakib is a significantly better batsman,
Yeah. True.
right? So um, I think that was an amazing pick by KKR.
And then the rest of them, I think they went for like backup options. Ben
Yeah,
Cutting,
yeah, yeah,
Harbhajan Singh probably won't start either.
yeah. Tim
Pawan
Seif,
Negi, yeah,
yeah, Tim Seifert. I mean, they're all kind of like backup options. You know,
yeah,
again, pretty strong international players in Morgan, Russell, Shakib, Narayan, Pat Cummins,
yeah,
Lockie Ferguson. So again, I think slightly similar to Rajasthan in that the
yeah,
overseas players are very, very good. They've had
yeah,
they've done good business at the auction by picking the experience of Harbhajan Singh and Shakib Al Hassan.
yeah,
But again, it's just about how the Indian players, how
yeah.
they back up the overseas players. But they certainly are better than Rajasthan.
I agree. I agree with that.
um,
Yeah,
with guys like Shubman Gill, Varun Chakravarti,
yeah,
Harbhajan Singh, Dinesh Karthik, they certainly have a better
yeah,
core of Indian players.
yeah.
Yeah.
Agree. MI again
Well,
more backups. I mean, they got NCN back, which is
yeah,
weird.
yeah,
They released him and got him back.
yeah.
They let Pattinson go, so Milner's kind of Adam Milner's
Yeah,
the like for like backup pace option replacement.
agreed. Yeah. And
Uh,
another good buy was Piyush Chawla.
yeah,
In case Rahul Chahar doesn't perform as well. So, you've got a like for like replacement there. But what do you say about Mumbai there? In my
yeah,
opinion, amazing auction.
yeah,
They didn't have to buy too many players,
yeah,
but then they kind of ensured that their core team remains the same and they
yeah.
just got good backup
They got
options.
Jimmy Neesham as a good backup for Pollard, I guess. So
Completely agree. Yeah, good. Again, at whatever his base price was, that's an amazing pick, right? And then you've also got, so in case Trent Bolt,
yeah,
gets injured or whatever, you've got a young South African bowler by the name of Marco Jansen, who's a left
yeah.
armer, or you've got Arjun Tendulkar.
Arjun Tendulkar. I think they
So
just got him for the name.
yeah, I think so. I think so. I know a lot of people, people might say whatever they have to, but at the end of the day, it was just the fact that it's Arjun Tendulkar. You know,
Yeah,
they had to pick him. So
yeah. And
yeah,
then probably the most underwhelming auction,
because they
Sunrisers.
already had a very strong team. I mean, if you look at the options they purchased, right? Mujibur Rahman, top-notch spinner.
Yeah,
You've got who else did they pick? They
Kedar
picked Kedar
Jadhav.
Jadhav. No idea why
Mujib
they
doesn't
did
really
that.
make sense. I mean, they have like Nabi, Mujib and Rashid
And
Khan.
Rashid. Yeah, they've
And
basically picked up.
Bairstow and Warren. They've gone with the Rajasthan route where they've got too many foreign players and you're not going to
Yeah,
play all of
yeah.
them.
I mean, just look at their foreign players, right? Williamson, Bairstow, Warner, right? Those are the three batsmen. And then you've got three spinners, Nabi, Rashid, Mujib, and then you've got two all-rounders in Mitch Marsh and Jason Holder. So they've got amazing overseas players.
Yeah.
Now the question is, how do they fit them in?
Yeah. It's going to be really tough. How does it fit? Because Nabi was always on the bench. I mean, they've
Yeah,
always gone for the top three. Maybe Bairstow will again be on the bench.
yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah, they go with Rashid and one more.
Well, it's likely to be one of Holder or Mitch Marsh because they balance the
Yeah,
team.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Holder made a big difference for them last year as well.
exactly. So it could be Holder, Mitch Marsh, or
Yeah.
Nabi, one of them, right?
Yeah.
So I think Mujib is more of a backup. It's weird saying this, but Mujib will only play if Rashid is injured or if Rashid something happens
Well,
to
I
him.
think Nabi is a better option anyway. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, Nabi, you can count Nabi as an all-rounder, right? So they've
Yeah.
got three all-round options.
Fair enough.
But not. What can you say? I mean, their squad is pretty
Yeah.
settled.
I agree.
Again, their middle order. The likes of PM Garg, Abdul Samad, Manish
Yeah.
Pandey, they've got some weakness there. But in spite of that, they did really well last year. They're keeping faith in these youngsters. So yeah, let's see
Yeah.
how it goes. And obviously the bowling will improve with
Yeah.
Bhuvaneshwar Kumar back. So yeah.
I agree.
Again, it's fair to say that the likes of Mumbai and Sunrisers probably had the best auctions because they didn't have to buy too many players.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, I think overall, if you look at it, in my opinion, I think Punjab probably had the best auction.
Yeah.
You agree?
I agree. In
Yeah.
terms of value for money and balance, I think Punjab did very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Although you can argue about some of the allocation of the pots, but overall,
Yeah.
if you net it out, then I think it's fine. I mean,
It's fine. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think Punjab had the best auction that they could have. Yeah, and again, teams like RCB going for the big players with the big bucks.
Yeah.
Whether that translates into a title, we don't know.
Well, speaking of, sorry, just before finish up, for RCB, I think from your perspective, I think their best decision was letting Umesh Yadav go.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Delhi bought him then.
Yeah.
But again, Umesh Yadav is a decent backup option.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. He's a good bench option. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But we still have to talk about unsold players because there was so many
Oh yeah, of course.
unsold players. I guess someone like the biggest shock for me was Alex Hales. I mean, what does that guy have to do to get picked in the IPL? So
yeah, I mean, it's not even like an England fixture issue, right? Because
yeah,
they've got like Stokes and Butler and stuff who already picked.
yeah.
And then Jason Roy again was also a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
He never gets picked in the IPL. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex Hale's surprising. Alex Carey's a decent backup option. I know he doesn't get much of a chance. He's a decent player.
Looking at his base price, 1.5 crores for Alex Carey seemed a bit high in my opinion.
Yeah.
So maybe it was that. Well, Devon Conway, I think, was another. You could put him in the same category as Kyle Jameson in that he's done very well for New Zealand in the games that he's played, but again, not.
I think batsmen. I think the problem is I think batsmen have been the one who've gone on tour, right?
Yeah,
So
a lot of batsmen.
Maybe
that's the issue.
Labuschagne as well. Labuschagne as well was good value at 1 crore in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, didn't get picked.
Aaron Finch.
Aaron Finch.
I think he's had his time.
Yeah, I think he's done with the IPL.
Yeah.
Some of these Australian players like Sean Abbott and Billy Stanlake, Jason Behrendorff.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good players, but I guess they're not the flavor of the season. The IPL is very much driven by the flavor of the season,
which is fast bowlers this year. So
yeah, which is fast bowlers. Well, I think the last couple of years that's what it's been.
Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of options there. But
Colin Munro also surprising, but
yeah, Colin Munro as well. But I think the biggest loss was Alex Hales.
Oh yeah, I know on current form, I definitely agree. He's had a very good BBL. He's made a decent start in the PSL also.
Yeah.
But yeah, big. But yeah, again, he's a top order batsman, right? So maybe that's again similar to Malan, who just went for his base price. So maybe that's the thinking that people don't need top order batsmen.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's our video. Let us know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And thank you for watching.
Thank you.